Q&A, but you can put your questions in the Q&A, but I won't open that window because it will block everything and I need to read it until the end of the webinar. So that's good for me. So just taking notes because I will go step by step, but you may have some questions from the beginning and then I'll just answer them at the end. So I hope it will be interesting for you. I can explain that I have my own company for 23 years now, and that I've created a lot of shows for kids and teenagers. And I created, I'm working, of course, with puppetry, with the object theater and shadow theater. And I've done a lot of work with different companies from different countries, different culture, some in Mexico, some in West Africa, like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Senegal. And well, I will just jump into that great thing that I've discovered to create shows for neurodiverse kids. There are many, many ways to name those great challenges that those kids have. And we can say, if you understand it better, sometimes we say autistic people, but they don't like us to say that. So I've learned to say it more in the neurodiverse person, or because we say we are neurotypical. I'm not sure I'm neurotypical. Maybe we never know. So you can ask yourself, are you neurotypical or neurodiverse? Or we can say that kids that have autistic syndrome disorder. So I will say ASD to make it shorter. So I hope you follow it when I'll talk about that. So I never thought I would work for those kids. I thought, what can I do with them? What can I won't connect. They cannot understand me. And everybody, we hear all the time that those kids don't have social skills and they cannot communicate and they don't want to communicate. They're very nervous. But fortunately, I had the chance to be invited to just work with them, do like workshops. So, and first of that, I can say also that we always hear about relaxed performances or sensory adapted performances. And I did some with some of my shows in some theater. They asked me, and I was very open to that. And they oftenly say you lower the lights and you lower the music a little and you present the puppet at the beginning and then it's enough. But what I will talk about today is shows for kids that cannot go in a regular performance. They could maybe after they are well trained, but I wanted to address my work to those kids who have greater challenges that it's hard for them to go in a theater. And at first I started with this special invitation I had in I can say a special or specialized center where the parents can bring their kids like in the weekend, and while they do their shoppings or things they need to do, someone is taking care of their kids. So in this place that was called Petite Échelle, small scale, there are one-on-one. Every kid has one specialized educator with them, and they can spend half a day, the all day, and they do activities with them, but there are one-on-one, and it's a house that they've adapted. So first I thought, what can I do with those kids? I did a lot of workshop in regular schools, so I called some friends, some artists, and say, let's bring some painting, let's bring some puppets, some objects and shadows, and let's try. So I've jumped into that, and I think it's great sometimes when you don't know what you shouldn't do, then you find out that maybe you can do it. So at first they said, you're sure about the painting when we arrived, because they thought there would be painting everywhere. And no, not that much. Actually, I've discovered great public. I think I really fell in love with those kids. And I would like to share with you maybe the first video we did with the first workshop we did, because at first I jumped into that without even reading anything, knowing anything. It was like very innocent way. Sometimes it's the good ways also. So I'll share. Starting sharing screen. Okay, that's good. This should be this one. Yeah. So you have the website of my company, theatremotus.com. If you want to go later to see some things, then you are welcome to that. And then I'll jump with this one. I'll cut the sound because I speak over it in French. I think I will let you have a look of a little like information that you will see the first workshop I did with musicians and with those kids in this center. And then I'll come back and I'll explain a little. So as you can see, we were in a very small space and we had about 1 or 2 kids at a time, and we were always about 2 in this place. So we've explored, you saw this instrument, it's an African instrument, it's a kora. And she was not afraid that the kids could break it. So I thought it was just great, wonderful. And we also heard about that they love water. And in fact, it's just wonderful. Of course, there's water everywhere. And we brought some different elements, some puppetry, some like just the form of a human being to see if they can connect with that. And we did many, many different whoops, maybe I'll close this and it will be bigger. Is it bigger now? Okay. And yeah, so we did a lot of work with those kids, but not working on a show. And then I started to look at what other companies have done before and who was like more specialized in that. And I found out that about Tim Webb. Tim Webb from Oily Cart, who has a company, this company Oily Carts in London for about 30 years. So I thought, wow, for 30 years, he was doing shows for kids with ASD and with profound learning disabilities. So we've connected with him with great chance with Big Umbrella. If you know about this, it's a project that the Lincoln Center in New York created, the big umbrella. I think it was in 2017 that I've sent someone from my company because I was touring another show at the same time to go and to meet. Tim Webb was there. There was also Trusty Sidekick, a company based in New York or in the United States that was creating a show collaborating with Tim Webb for this occasion. And then I've learned about Sensorium in Australia. And I think it's those company by that time. And well, we've connected a lot with Tim Webb from that point, from that moment, and learning that he was working a lot one-on-one. Like the same as they were doing at the Center at Petite. So 5 actors for 5 kids. And I thought, oh my God. You know, when you're touring for babies and you say the amount of people will be about 20 kids, and the presenters are saying, are you crazy? 20 kids, how can I have enough money to present that? And then you come and you say, we will be 5 and there will be 5 kids. Well, I will talk about that later, what it is to tour and present and go in theater with a show like that. But I think it was a wonderful idea to have that great challenge, starting with it, saying, yes, we will do that. We will try to have workshop and being one-on-one. So we've started like to create a show exploring with different puppets, different object like silk, very great fabric, different and different texture also, or big balls that are yoga balls. And so I always think it's good to start with workshop, testing the things with the kids, and then saying, okay, that works, great, we keep it. That, not really. And always we had the chance to keep on doing workshops one-on-one, 2 actors or musician with 2 kids. So we found some foundings, of course, and calling the specialized school or centers and saying, we'll come, but we won't be with all the class at the beginning. We just want to have 2 kids. So they need to have another space to allow you to experiment like that. But I think it's a great way at the beginning to develop skills, because there are so many ways to connect with those kids. What I like to say is as if they have a scanner inside themselves. You cannot hide them how you are inside. If you come that day, you're very sad, something happened in your life, and you say, okay, I will go over that. They just see the inside of you, the inner person that you never show. They feel that. So they kind of, why is she hiding that in her face? But it's obvious that she's feeling like that. So you really need to connect with how you are in this time to connect with them. It's hard to explain more than that, but I think it goes really well with acting. The idea of being here now is even more real with those kids. And you don't connect with the eyes, you don't connect with the smile, you don't connect with encouraging them to smile or to react. They are very used to work with adults, and they know that if they smile, we are very happy. but that doesn't mean they are happy or that they understood. That means they are very intelligent to just give you what you expect. But if you really want to connect, it's weird to say, but don't connect with the eyes, don't connect with the smile, connect in other ways. Connect in feeling them, in taking time, taking step by step. Working with specialized people like Tim Webb helped me to understand that. Those kids see like image by image. They don't see the whole movement. So if you really come like that with something, then they are like, oh my God, it's like, and if you come from the back, they are so stressed in their life and they had some bad experiences that are, of course, life is like very hard on them. They have a background that is very, it's wounded, I would say. So if you come from the back, an adult that has autism that I work with him told me it's like tiger. It's like a tiger that will come, another tiger. So they're always like expecting a tiger. Imagine that you're expecting always a tiger to come to you. So it's the same. If you like want to have a surprise and bring it here, it's like, oh my God. So they're always like that. There are some kids that you enter the class and there are the stress and they have sometimes flapping like that in different reactions. It's to comfort themselves. Like I feel myself, I'm okay, I'm coming back, I'm not nervous, or they will do that, or a lot of things that when we don't know, we think, oh, they don't want me. It's just that they are expressing their stress and you need to give them time. So I've learned a lot of things. We invited Tim Webb to come to give a workshop in Montreal. Of course, the pandemic arrived, and about a year and a half later, he could come at I think, autumn 2021, I would say. And that changed my life. He gave a workshop. I spoke with him. He told us step by step all the shows he did. I think he did about, seriously, like 25 shows. So every year is like 2 and 3, and doing shows in specialized schools and doing shows in theater. And that opened my mind. I thought, okay, that's a possibility. I want to try that. I want to try doing a show, bringing those kids in the theater and connecting with presenters for them to adapt their place and being open that their spaces, their theater can be opened to those kids. So from that, and also that's, yeah, he told us that he works also one-on-one, and he confirmed it. But he was working a lot with kids with profound learning disabilities. And I wanted more to focus on kids with autistic syndrome disorder. That for me is very different. I'll talk about that a little later. Very different. For me, it's two versions of a show. It's like doing a show for teenagers and doing a show for babies. It's very different, the approach. So I can maybe just, while I'm talking, showing to you this. This is the book from Tim Webb, and you have his website. And I really recommend that book. That is very unique, sensory theater. It really explained step by step how you approach, what you can do. And it really opened the possibilities, and you will find your own possibilities. But I also work with specialists that are working with kids with ASD. We approach Myriam Daigneroy. She's a very young woman, but she went in houses helping parents. She went in specialized schools. She worked a lot with those kids. So she really explained to us, if you do that, that kid will be very stressed. But if you do that, then not. And we also work with another woman called Philomène Adilard. She's specialized in speech therapist, but also working with kids with ASD. And she also explained to us different ways that, yes, you can do that. You can try. That will challenge them, but that's a good way to challenge them. And also maybe saying that we work mainly with kids that are nonverbal. Tim Webb worked more sometimes with kids that were more verbal and sometimes less verbal. But I wanted to focus on those that are nonverbal. I think that way it's very interesting to try to find the image, the music, what will be different ways to connect with them. We also work with Evelyn Payette. She's a mother of 2 kids with ASD and found out after a lot of years that her husband also had a little of ASD. And she's working and studying now, doing a doctorate. Doctorate is, I'm not sure what it is in English, but I'm pretty sure you understand. She's working with the theater in Montreal to help them to adapt the venue, to adapt a PhD. Someone is telling me a PhD. And she's working with theater, like theater for adults and theater for young people, the venues for them to adapt the venue, adapt the welcoming teams, how we should adapt the place for people with special needs, with great challenges that can come. It's more in the idea of relaxed performances, but a little step further to really open the people to share the space in a theater, the actors, the welcoming team, the public, how they can share the space. So she was very involved in that, starting now much more than after a few years, much more now, and I really admire her work. And she helped us to prepare the space also, learning that when you do a show, there are like many different spaces that you need to place for the kids to enter. So the welcoming place when they open the door and they enter in the theater, and where you will come to them, inviting them to come to the venue, how they enter the venue, if there is a special like space where they where they can go to relax. If they feel they are too stressed, a place with more calm and not a lot of echo and sound, and also entering the venue and then performing, participating in the performance. It seems a lot of like rooms. It's not really rooms, but it's space that you need to think, because when you enter a theater in the lobby, most of the time there is echoing, incredible echo. That's terrible. So they need to like adapt to that. So I have a video of the first show we did. I'll share that. It was very experimenting. So it was with a big silk and we were in a room. It was not even a theater, but we wanted to explore different like lights. We found out that those great lights are wonderful. And so we created that like first pre-show that I could say, experimenting 5 with a class. It was like a day camp or summer camp. And we could explore how they were reacting and what works and what didn't work. And we found out that it's to go with the show, it's great to have a website that we created just for them. So you have the direction if you want to connect it or take it in notes and go later to see it. where you have a space for the kids to be prepared. Because the big difference is you need to think differently. With theater, we always think in surprises. Theater for kids on ASD, you really need to not doing any surprise. Surprise is not a good idea. So everything is in the transition, very important. If you have a smooth transition, then they will adapt and don't feel there's a change. If you do a black, if you do an opening of a door, if you bring something new, you want to, that's terrible. Sometimes they just cut off and they panic and it's like we say overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed by that. It's like a very big charge, mental charge. And then so if you think of that, I can tell that if you do a workshop, for example, I would say basic procedure that helps maybe a little. You need to think how I will welcome them. Like if you go in a class, how do I enter that is smooth, that I'm not entering and bringing things? And maybe there is music. We open the door, the musician is entering with music, and people in the back bringing the things like maybe in luggages, and that you can hide and they don't see everything. Because if you open everything and you bring everything out, one thing at a time, and then you have the transition that you go very general, that they can get used to you. You can present yourself so the educators can understand what you're doing, but then you try not to talk too much. And seeing them going one-on-one, just they can feel you and they can feel a safe space. It's really a word that we use a lot, but this safe space is important. And then you can start to explore with like one puppet that comes and then come out and go to them and how they feel about it. And they can what does she want? Why? They are always wondering, why is she bringing that to me? And they see the puppet, they see the person behind the puppet, and they see the inner person inside you. So that's really profound connection, but they always think, what do you want? Do you expect me to take it? So you can explore, slowly approach. There are like, Tim Wynn told us a very important things that I'm using a lot. You say you can work in macro, you can work in micro. Macro is when you do something that you want the kids to see you from far, to understand what you do. Like when you have present, if you want, you're a big group, you are 5, and you are just there playing the music and singing, and then they see you all. And then you take a puppet and you go in micro, one-on-one, and then you work with that kid connecting. And Tim Webb was saying you should choose one kid and keep on this kid. And we've tried it, and I prefer to sometimes feel, oh, that kid really doesn't want to connect with me. I'll try another one, and maybe we can switch. And sometimes they really connect with another one, and they are with that musician, and they want to keep on. So I think, and then I think you can do macro, micro connection, macro, and then you gently go out for not saying, okay, bye, it's finished. We just sing maybe the same song going out of the school, of the class, and then saying, okay, we go. And the thing you see on the screen now is that they can go on the website and they can present, they can prepare themselves, going to listen to the music, seeing who will go in their class, seeing them in advance. And we've also had to adapt our show to some other kind of public, the kids with profound learning disabilities. It's very different because they don't have that stress about the transition and everything, but you need to connect if they cannot see, if they see a little, if they cannot hear, they hear a little. If they are in wheelchair and they cannot move, sometimes they can come out of their wheelchair and they can interact a lot with you. You need to find other ways. But seeing the time going, I think I would talk about that in another webinar. But I would like to show you like what we about the show that we did. It's named Tree, a World in Itself. And this is the social narrative I should show you. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that after. I'll show you this. I'll need to. There is a nice music on the video, but sorry, we cannot connect and we don't know how you can hear it, but I think you will see how is this show named Tree, a World in Itself. As you can see on the left, he's back. We don't see him well, but there's always a musician performing music. And this is the big bird coming out very slowly. Those are the caterpillar. This is a micro moment, like I was explaining. We have some things that we give to the kids during the show, some mushrooms that are smooth and they have smell in it. In the transition with the musician, we always take the time that he can go from one to another kid. Using didgeridoo. And those little birds, they just love them. They are singing. You can go to a very high level of sound if you go with transition. You go slowly higher and higher in sound, and you can go to a jazz music, very, very noisy, and then you go back slower, slower, and kids really enjoy it. So that gives you an idea of the show that we've created. And from now on, I can say that I thought that we would perform it maybe 5 minutes, but well, 5 times, I'm sorry. And we did it about more than 100 times in many theater. And we went to perform it at the Lincoln Center. So it's really possible to perform those kinds of shows. And I know there's a lot of questions, and it's about for almost 45 minutes. So I can start answer questions, but I also wanted to talk to you about the in-class workshop that we're doing now, because I found out that there are some kids that can come to the theater if we do a preparation for them, a social story that explain from the start. They go out of the school, taking the bus, going inside the theater. The theater is taking picture of everywhere in the place where they go and where they will go up to the venue. I could maybe share the screen with this one. That is where is sorry, I tried to sit, doesn't allow me, so maybe better I don't do it. Is it here? Share, and you can see this one, maybe this one, the social narrative, just to show you, like you go out, you will go to this theater, this musician will invite you. First you will come, it will be like that, and then you will go by that corridor to enter the theater. If you go to the bathroom, very important, because if they go to the bathroom and there is magic, like magic eye, they go and then it flushes alone by itself. You go to take the water. So nothing, they need to do to know everything. All the actors that will be there with their names so they can recognize them. You will enter in this room for the show. This will look like that. This you can find it on the website, but I think it's things that the educators and the parents can go image by image, what is going on in the show, what can happen, what you can do. I go very fast, but it's just to give you an idea. So that's it. And then now we are working more, like I wanted to say that for shows that are like workshop shows that we can do in the schools with the kids. So I'll go and then I'll show you some pictures if I have some time. So I'll go in the Q&A because there are some questions and I want to make sure I can read them. So do these children have ASD, or are these learning disabilities that you've mentioned? The one that you saw, I guess, in the video, it's a question from Adele Kapolak. If the one that you see in the video are kids with autistic syndrome disorder, but if they come, well, how it is in Quebec, in the province of Quebec, if they're coming from specialized school, they need to have at least 2 or 3 different challenges. So they are on the spectrum, but they also have some profound learning disabilities at different levels. They are not just only with autistic syndrome disorder. Were those actual branches used to create that tree, or is that a constructed set items? I guess it's a question about the set, if I'm right. Yeah, it's really a full designed scenography that I hired a scenographer, a set designer who really designed it, and we tried it, and our specialists came. Some of them said, oh my God, they will just hang on the branches. You shouldn't do that. Others said, oh, in the middle, they will just climb on it. Yes, they were right, but not all of them. And actually, you can tell the kids, this is a non-available space. a non-available item, and they understand it. But since they are very interested in like iPhones and computers and things like that, it's very important that you hide that. If you, not the iPhone, of course not, but if you are using like light board, you need to hide it because they will be so interested in it. They are like little engineers. They want to see everything. They want to touch everything. And like the little eggs that you saw, they want to open it. They want to see how it works. So it's better just to show them first. Look, it works like that. You open, you close, you can change the light. And once you just explained it, then okay, it's clear. They understand that if you want to see the show, you need, okay, to understand the egg, but then to connect with me. Your presentation has been so instructive and beautiful. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Karen Smith. And then, Carol, are these opportunities to work with older students, teens who are also on the spectrum? Yes, you're totally right. We were surprised. Some teenagers came and some adults also. If you just, we need to adjust, of course. They are teenagers, so they are used for a longer time with adults that are neurotypical. So they are used to give you what you want. So I think it's harder to connect with them at the beginning because they're kind of, okay, I understand. And they are laying back. They are teenagers. But if you connect with them and you don't do like two baby things, like the way you move the caterpillar, you just do things in an older ways, like let's experiment that texture. Do you want to try it? Then they go into it and they really get into it incredibly. It's a wonderful, wonderful public, those teenagers and young adults. Adelka Polak, lovely, just curious about the material. Yes, I can talk about that. The material, we developed the show during pandemic. So we were like, oh no, they cannot touch, we need to wash. Then we decide, yes, we're gonna wash. And we did 5 times every puppet. And we took some silk, some texture, some things that are like, we went to buy a lot of things that are in rubber things, things for kitchen, and then we just sew it. And it's Marie-Claude Labrec who did the puppetry. And we really made them like the birds with the lights. She molded it, and every little light inside the puppet is really a wonderful way to connect with those kids. They really connect with the light, the texture, they can touch it. Sometimes they want to try it. That's harder because sometimes there are some mechanism, but let's say it's better if they can just take it and do whatever they want with it, because it's great to try not to say no. The big thing is never say no. Find other ways to show them that no, not available, or better not now, or maybe later. It's really a process. Hi, it's Rana, and I appreciate the sharing. I have a question. How the kids react or reflect after the show you perform, how they interpret what they have experienced. Very differently. But I can say that most of the time, all the cast, all the actors, we are crying. We are like incredibly touched, the difference when they enter and they are so stressed. Even if we gave a workshop to prepare, they had the social story and everything, they enter and they're kind of, what will come up? What is going on? And sorry. And how they connect during the show. And at the end, they don't want to go. They say, no, now I'm comfortable. Sometimes it takes 20 minutes to a kid to get into the show. The show lasts an hour. Also that they said, no, not an hour for kids with autistic syndrome disorder. No, yes, you need even more to give them time to get into the show, to connect, to being there. And now when they are comfortable, they don't want to go. I remember a kid, I think it took 15 minutes for him to get in, and he got in. And when he got out, he was walking and then he turned to us and he said, see you tomorrow, huh? And then he went. We were all crying. It was like, okay, I think it's the way that they feel relaxed. And that's the main thing. You don't need to always be relaxed during the show, but you need to think of the curve of the show, that at the end they will feel like smooth, and you go out smooth, and sometimes you go with them in the bus to the end with music, and then they go and one is going and the other, and okay, bye. And it's not like, okay, finish, thank you very much, and you go. It's another way of seeing it. If you have time, could you briefly talk about how it is different working with people with profound intellectual challenges? Yes, I can. You need to have object that they can, it's more a micro work. The macro, the big picture, it's very hard for them to get it. They get it with the sound if they can hear. It's wonderful, but you really need to think more of, if I bring, for example, some puppetry into sand, a sand ball, and they can touch the sand, and they really you need to have more time for them to touch, to feel. If they cannot, if they cannot touch, then to feel, to like massage, and then to have a puppet that is very soft, and then you can touch if they want. Some are very, very sensitive. You cannot even touch them. So it's more very near, very near. If they look on the side like that, then you can ask. The educators are precious. They know their kids. You can say, what's the better way? Can I touch? Is there some restriction? We have a questionnaire that we send before the show to know if is there special things that we should know. This kid is very afraid of frogs, so we will not bring frogs, of course, or of birds. And so we need to know to bring it differently, or afraid of water. But if you can, with those kids, I think you need to find different ways to touch. Tim Webb was telling us that touch with the spray or mist of water, with some wind, with some fan, and some maybe blowing and singing. So they have other feelings, and maybe with the fabric and touching with silk. It's really a way that you need to like go step by step with your ideas, and seeing, can I be in really micro with that with the kid, and taking times there. And there are also very patient kids. They are used to being group block and a little bit stuck in their wheelchair. So they are so patient. They can wait. They know that they need to wait. So if you are like 3 and they are 7, then it takes time to go one-on-one. But if you have the time to connect, they want to laugh. They want to sometimes hear more stories that you tell their names. Sometimes they want to have more words, and then you need to develop. And if the kid doesn't see you well, then you can tell everything you do. I have a caterpillar in my hand. It's a puppet. It's very soft. I will come to you nearer. Do you feel it? Do you like it? And then you connect like that. It's weird because suddenly you feel you're explaining everything, but then the kid knows, I'm here. My name is Helen, and I'm a puppeteer, and I'm going near you with a puppet. The puppet is like a bird. There's light. Do you see it a little? Yeah. And then I'm going to touch it. Oh, the bird wants to touch you. Do you want? And it's really, yeah, it's different approaches like that. I don't see other questions. Do you have some questions that you would like to ask? I see answered. Should we be hearing audio? Oh, no, there's no audio. I'm sorry about that. We tried to have the audio, but if you go on theatremotus.com, it's the website, and you go for the English version, and you go in Tree, A World in Itself, then you will see the video and the music that I showed. I can maybe just take a few minutes or few just to share the things we are doing now. I'm working, and I think it's wonderful for you to see it. I'm working in a show that, sorry, jumping. We did a cook show, like a cooking show that is in classes with this puppet, and we brought some eggs. Of course, we need to ask for the allergies, but we brought some spinach, some sugar, some salt, some spicy things, and we went from kids to kids for them to touch, to drink. We do a smoothie. That puppet is like a chef, and he's making a smoothie. And at the moment that the smoothie is with the blender that is making noise, then we have an electric guitar, because you really can go very, very loud with those kids if they just adapt to you, connect with you, and then you adjust, and they know what is coming up, and they have a lot of fun in that show. And we've developed another one that is like under the water, but no water. So there's a whale coming and going under the water, and there are like meduse is, oh, how you say that, jellyfish. And this fabric that you see is a jellyfish, and the kids can go in it, and they have the lights and they have the feeling. It's really individual work with that. And the team, and we have accordion in English. I don't know it, but you see the instrument. And this, that you won't believe it, it's a show in a pool. It's just wonderful. We have the kids with us very near. We've developed a show that we are like water elf, and we are bringing things, playing with them, and the water is warm, and it lasts an hour. We are developing that now, the treasure hunt. And so you can do anything with those kids. I hope I just give you the taste, and then that you will love to work with those one. And maybe finishing with a part of the video, because we've adapted the show to babies, because, whoops, because I think it helps to tour a show for kids with great challenges, to have a version of it for babies, because there is a great read of a group of presenters that knows how to present shows for babies. And if they are ready to tour, to book you for a tour, then sometimes if you say, I have a version for kids on autistic spectrum disorder, or of great challenges or special needs, then they say, okay, I'll try one, or I'll try two. Then it's great. The same team doing two versions of the show. And I think it's a good way. I have some more questions. I'll go for it. If you don't know Ranjana Pandey from India, you should get in touch with her. Oh, yeah, thank you very much. If you have connection, I really need to connect and contact with people who are doing that. Have you documented your work in journal to share with the puppetry? Oh, no, I need to start to do that. It's the first webinar I'm giving about my work. Can you speak specifically about the use of puppets as opposed to sensory materials? What have you learned about types of puppet and how to use them? I think it's very nice to have a human being and puppet that looks like human being, because their face is fixed. Our face is so complicated for those kids to understand. As I said, we're hiding a lot of things and they can see behind. They don't understand us. Why does she smile if she's sad? But the puppet is fixed, so easier to understand, easier to connect. But some of them are like challenging that character, and they are really rude to it, and they start to touch and really, what is this human not being? So I'm not sure about the human being puppetry. I should work more on that. But the animals and like those birds and things, I think it works better. I think they connect because they know toys. They have some toys that they love that are their best friend. So I think they connect more with that, and that you can go also in abstract character. And yeah, I think you can. We've created like anemone and like undersea monsters, and they really connect with that. They really want to connect. They forget you and they connect like any kids with the puppetry. Oh, and you were saying accordion. Okay. So I think I've answered all the questions. Is there some others? Should I check? Do you have any other questions? I have to give the same workshop in French and in Spanish. So I would say if you have any questions, really feel free to write to me. My email is Hélène, Hélene, Helen with an E at the end because I speak French. And arrobas at Théâtre Motus, as you saw the first. And I'm pretty sure you can write to Olivia and she can give it to you if you cannot. Maybe I could write it in the chat. That could be. Do you have access to chat? I'll put it here. Yeah. And that would be it. Still lots of things to say because it's a wonderful world. I hope you understood well my English and that you've enjoyed the webinar. Very happy to be with you. Oh, you don't have access to the chat. So I'll say it again. Hélène, Helene, at theater in French. So Theatre. It's really weird because it's the Motus, MOTUS.com. Oh, an email will be sent afterward. So great. So hope you enjoyed it. Very nice meeting you. I would have loved to have, I have the list of everyone who registered, but if you want to connect and send an email, I will be more than happy to keep in touch with you.
Thank you, Hélène. Thank you, everybody. See you at the next webinar.
See you at the next one.